See, this is what happens when we don't have Nate. Hey, yo, and welcome to the AWO Journeymen Podcast. I am JD. As you can see, AWO Journeymen, we're available now on Tout, Maso.
Tout.
Remember Tout? The good old WWE pushed that weird TikTok app for a little bit.
Not really.
But oh yeah.
Okay.
I'll take you back in time on that one a little bit. But I am JD, the Blues fan who had a comfortable day at the football yesterday, watching King Charles kick 10. What a day it was indeed. Joining me and returning to the podcast with the little man is Maso, the Freo fan who probably doesn't give a shit about football anymore, but has bigger things to worry about in life.
Yeah, we got this little man's to make me happy when my team's disappointing me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's all about just keeping the thing alive at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, that's easy. Just feed him, burp him, change him, sleep him.
So as you can see, Maso with his little boy there, born 3 weeks ago now, 4 weeks ago now.
3 weeks tomorrow.
Jeez, it's amazing how it's going to be a month in no time, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's flown by.
But boy, let's talk some footy.
Let's get to it.
Although I'll let you put the little man away if you want to. Get into Thursday night football. So 7-7-49 played 13-12-90. The Dogs give the Essendon a little bit of a lesson heading into finals. They strengthen their chances heading into September. Meanwhile, Essendon, their hopes are becoming a little bit dashed at the moment. I know they've got an easier end to the season than most clubs, but some of these games that they're dropping at the moment where, they're just not doing well against some of these top 8 sides. Nate pointed it out best to us.
I guess the best way to look at it is if they don't make it, they've had a good year. They've surpassed expectations. They're playing
Absolutely
better. The system looks better. If they do make it, I feel like it's going to be a waste of time, given their injuries to the defenders, if they even hobble in. And they're just going to get probably smashed, and then the meme continues of no finals won. They're one of those teams that are just going to come into form in the next couple of years, and I reckon we'll all be playing finals.
Exactly, and I do think that their finals win is getting closer than ever. I mean, if they can get themselves in this year, I mean, there's still every possibility to win. Basically, this game came down to Marcus Bontempelli once again. This man is flying. It's amazing to say that Marcus Bontempelli is flying under the radar for the Brownlow, but he absolutely is. So 29 disposals, 2 goals, and 645 meters gained.
Wow.
He was also assisted along by his good mate Libba. Libba's been playing. It's funny. He's becoming a fine wine Liberatore, just aging very, very finely, especially after some of those injuries that he had after the premiership year. It's good to see Tom Liberatore playing so well. So he had 36 disposals, 13 clearances, and 4 tackles. So they were really instrumental in their side. But one thing that was really disappointing for Essendon was the fact that they lost Jordan Ridley late.
Ridders.
He's been, a shining light for that side. So it really does hurt them running into finals because they need players to be healthy. That's one thing that needs to go well for them is definitely the injury front. So Ridley's a massive blow to their finals chances. They did well to control them early and then absolutely bottled the game out and just sort of couldn't finish it out. Dogs, like I said, gave them an absolute lesson.
Yeah, it was weird because it looked, as I said in the chat at the beginning of the game, it looked competitive. Like they came out firing. I was like, all right, we've got a game on our hands. And then I think towards the end of the first or midway through the second is when Bont and Libba just started to stand up and even out those contests, and that's when they just took away with it. I feel like the biggest weapons were Bailey Smith on the outside, just running all day, all night, and old mate with the mullet and the double hand bounce. What's his name? Poulter.
Oh, Caleb Poulter.
Yeah.
With the old double
he
hander.
he had a good game. He was just always in space by himself, running with just a paddock in front of him. So many times I saw it happen.
Also think the Dogs mid forward line, has become a lot more efficient. So I think Norton and Ugelhagen, they still get in each other's way sometimes, but they're doing a lot better than at the start of the year. So they're sort of finding that rhythm. They're still looking for that third tall, or what they want to do with it. They're perfectly fine when it comes to their forward line structure now, because they've got those two talls with a small that absolutely dominates. But again, you stop Cody Waitman and you stop potentially just even a Norton. At this stage, I'm actually saying you probably want to stop Ugelhagen. But he's just become an absolute weapon the last few weeks, especially again on Friday night, 3 goals, 2. He's just become such a prolific forward, and it's been funny because we've watched it happen literally, I feel like, in the space of like three months. Like, he's just all of a sudden become this really, really good forward. So hopefully he can follow this through to finals, and then that's going to make the Dogs a real good chance in September.
I don't know with the Dogs. Yeah and no. I still feel they're below like 70% of the top 8.
Got a quick question for you. Did you hear about Bevo's hand as well?
Yeah, punching the whiteboard.
Do you buy it?
I can. Like,
it just makes me laugh. It's if you watch Footy Classified, they basically said no.
Yeah.
They don't buy
it's
it.
believable. It is believable though.
It is believable. I'll give you that, but it is quite a funny thing. I'll be interested to see if that ever does come out, that it wasn't the whiteboard that caused it. But let's get into just a quick couple of thoughts from Nathan. So ladder positions will change now throughout the round, but as of right now, Bombers are 2-8 against top 8 teams, teams above them, and 7-1 against teams beneath them outside the top 8. They're the barometer of the competition. He couldn't be more right with that. So you come up against Essendon, like, that's where at the moment it seems like if you can beat them, you're worthy of the top 8. If you don't, you're still just outside of it.
And did Nate just say that they're the Reece Matheson of the competition?
the barometer. And so he said, just watching the full replay, it's an incomplete Don side, yet still a good chance to make finals with the next 3 games at Marvel. If they lose one of the next 3, then my prediction might scarily happen to a T. Dons need height down back and a better forward structure, because if Wright is stopped, then so is their forward line. Also, refine their midfield. Since Parrish has returned, guys like Hobbs and Caldwell seem to have taken the back seat because of it. This is why we miss Nate. Always on spot on with his comments. It couldn't be more right there. Parrish has sort of impacted those players, and yeah, Dons, if they do drop one of those next 3, it's going to be real interesting, and be interesting to see what happens to the Dons heading into finals, because they, like you said, they could still make it, but anything's possible at this point. And having to come up against Collingwood in the last round, as I would know, is not something that you want to do. Speaking of fucking up your mental health, I feel like going for Hawthorn would do that potentially at the moment, but after yesterday's performance, they were absolute. I think they can really hold their heads high. So 14-12, 96, played 15-5, 95. Richmond by a singular point, not getting basically getting no percentage boost that they require heading into September. They really needed, the last few weeks, they've really needed to put away some of these sides to boost their percentage, but just have not been able to do it. So it's really, really hurting them.
I caught a half of this, so you're going to have to take the majority of the points on this one. When I was watching it, it was an absolute blowout. What happened?
Nathan's pointed out that it was Richmond have the equal third biggest 3/4 time deficit to win. Their biggest 3/4 time deficit, the MCG to win a game. And like you said, they just, I don't know how they pulled it back it was stunning. I was at Marvel Stadium. So I literally was just sitting around with everyone basically going, holy shit, Richmond have won. Because we were all, you sort of we were looking at the 3/4 time score and it's like, oh yeah, Hawthorn should easily run away with this one. No, absolutely came back. Dominant performance by Richmond in the last quarter. You just never count Richmond out when it comes to September. They've given themselves every shot to get themselves back to finals this year. But it's amazing to think that Nate's prediction could come true. And I think it was someone else's prediction as well, that Ninthman could be an actual thing this year. Liam Baker with capping off a 6-goal turnaround for Richmond, basically pushing them into, like I said, basically further into the chance of finals. The Vortex well and truly alive this weekend. I think every team that needed to win, except for Adelaide, did. So it's become a very, very, very interesting round of football, this one. Nate comments for this one. Caught up on the Hawk on the full games from yesterday. Hawks should still be proud of their efforts. They're a real headache to play and going to be banana skin against teams pushing for finals. Tigers ain't getting in on percentage. We'll need an upset win or two to get in. He's not wrong on that one. There is a real problem with their percentage. Getting in is going to be real hard for Richmond at this point. But like you said, Hawthorn absolutely should be proud of their efforts yesterday. They did plenty to show the competition that in a couple of years, I think, like you said, they're going to be really scary to watch. Big game from Mitch Lewis, booted 4 goals in a ripping battle with Noah Bolter, where Noah Bolter took 14 marks yesterday to basically keep the Tigers in it.
Wow.
Yeah,
he's come a long way.
He really has. James Sicily, as usual, the big captain's performance. He's become just the heart and soul of that club and a real leader. They have really pointed out no Sicily, no Hawthorn. Their next generation of their midfield is absolutely scary. So cannot wait to see what they can do. But this game's all about the Tigers and how well they did. Came back in, got themselves back in the chance of the top 8. Well done to the Tigers. Let's move on to a game I was at. Now, let me just take another big sip because I'm just going to ramble for 10 minutes. All right, ready? Get ready. Yeah, let's not talk too much about this game because it was pretty fucking boring. Even it was a kick the feet up game, as they would call it. So I'm just going to give myself like about a minute. I'm going to talk about it quickly. And then we can move on. Maybe a few little extra comments, but yeah, just gonna talk quickly about this one. So 21-14, 140, played 10-9, 69. Nice. Carlton by 71 points. This game was over in the first quarter, but then especially over in the first half. West Coast, I don't think they got on the plane. We gave them the embarrassment they've had, for the first time in a few weeks since the Sydney game. They've been really spirited, and we crushed that spirit. King Charles kicked 10. That was quite possible. I've never seen a forward kick 10 that for my own club. So especially considering the last time was 1995, and I was 1 year old, and it was Sticks.
Wow.
Yep. So Sticks kicked it back in the day. But yeah, so we fun day at Marvel yesterday. We got there a little bit late, but nothing too bad, especially when you can just kick your feet up and relax. Solid performances by many a player on the Carlton list. Not too many solid performances from the West Coast team, except for Andrew Gaff of all people. That was really weird.
Really?
Yeah, it was really weird. He had one of the better games I've seen him play for a very long time. But the big story, I think, coming out of this one, especially heading into the Collingwood game for Carlton, is just the injuries they've got now. So Sam Walsh was a big one. hamstring. Jack Silvani's been in a very big purple patch of form, so really does hurt losing him as well, especially after the 4-goal performance last week. And it was basically after he'd already kicked a goal in this game, so he looked like he was going to have another day out. And then Jesse Motlop as well with a calf issue, so could potentially have 3 big outs, but Vossi's already said that Jack Martin, Patrick Cripps, and Adam Chera will be ready for next week. So Carlton just gearing up for the Collingwood game next week. Not too much more to say about West Coast other than the fact that basically we copied them this game and decided to get the injury bug. Nate put it best. These are the only things he wanted me to mention, I think. Charlie 10 goals, but Blues getting the Eagles injury bug. Nice little tune up for their next game against Collingwood, but besides that, not much of a game to go into. Still reckon Eagles get a win before the end of the year. I do agree with that. I do think, but actually, I don't want to
go. They're going to beat us.
Oh, God.
That's the last. That's the only other win of the season. It's going to be us.
That would be a sad, sad reality for you if that happens. I would be sad for you. Let's move on from the Carlton West Coast game. There was nothing more to say other than well done, King Charles, for the effort and a half that you did for me yesterday. I could not have been happier. Carlton, the 3rd team in history to win 5 games in a row by 50+ points.
It helps when you get to verse a bunch of scrubs.
I know, right? But hey, you got to take your opportunities when possible, because I'm sure there's been plenty of teams that have faced a bunch of scrubs in a row and not done that. So go Blues. I mean, I'm just what a fun day out of the football it was yesterday. But moving on to Saturday afternoon football at the Gabba, it was Brisbane taking on Geelong, 9-10-64, playing 7-11-53. Brisbane, I know, right? I was just thinking, it's amazing sometimes when the brains form one, because I was just thinking 7-11. I was like, hey. But Brisbane by 11 points. I still reckon this was a dominant performance from Brisbane. They because realistically, they dominated Geelong for 3 quarters, but then in my books, just got a real shaky like they did last week, and just nearly let the same thing creep into their game as they had happened last week. But they pushed through, got themselves over the line. There was a Josh Dunkley put it best after the game, was realistically they learned from last week. They learned that they couldn't go into their shells late, and they didn't. They just kept firing, kept pushing, they kept scoring in the last quarter, and that was probably the biggest point that they needed to make. And Lions didn't need to lose 2 games in a row in that sort of fashion. So it was good to see them fight it out, especially because I think Nate sort of predicted them to they have one weird sort of loss there at the Gabba, and he was saying it could be Geelong, and it was looking like there was potential that it could have been Geelong late in that game. But yeah, just too strong up in the Gabba, the Lions. It's a fortress for that club, and they're now sort of knocking on the door of Port Adelaide, which really helps them. This game had a lot at stake as well. So now Geelong are sort of back in that little. There's now there's 2 sort of vortexes going on at the moment. It's kind of funny. So you got the vortex between Western Bulldogs, St Kilda, Giants, and Essendon, and then you've got a weird little vortex between Geelong, Carlton, and Richmond. So Geelong leading that pack, but also falling back into it yesterday via that loss to the Lions at the Gabatoir.
Very defensive, which was surprising. I expected it to be a higher score. So yeah, Brisbane did a very good job at keeping Geelong's score down, which isn't it's a hard thing to do.
But yeah, this game was once again led by sort of by the Lions.
Lucky Neil.
Lions midfield. No, it was actually Josh Dunkley yesterday.
Oh wow!
Yes, Josh Dunkley with a very solid performance. 27 disposals, 9 kicks, 18 handballs, but the 8 tackles as well, which really helps. We'll get to Nate comments. Lions probably needed this win to be a close one, so they're not so comfortable. Fingers crossed for Ashcroft. Oh, that's the big thing we need to talk about.
Oh,
Fucking
yeah.
hell. Damn it, Nate.
I
Okay,
need
all
it.
right, I'm getting back. We'll get back into this, but I'll finish off his comments. Fingers crossed for Ashcroft and hoping for nothing serious. Cats midfield very thin here. Asava getting Jordan Clark treatment, so expect Geelong to ask for a first round for Asava in the trade period. Yeah, he's not wrong. They will. That's typical Geelong asking for a first rounder. But yeah, they're definitely shafting him out at the moment. He had a chance to leave to Port Adelaide at the end of the year, so it's a real shame for Asava because you guys were rating him early in that defense. So
he's got potential. He's
going to look good at some club for sure. Yeah, let's get into that big one that Nate brought up, which Ashcroft, the poor kid. It came back today that yes, he has done his ACL. So we know the poor kid's out for the next year on the sidelines. But yeah, so he unfortunately misses the next year of football. So that sort of hurts the Lions late into the year. He was really going to help them pushing into finals. So Lions midfield depth tested, but that's why you get they had sort of players like Josh Dunkley come into that side. So still think there's every chance the Lions go deep in September without Will Ashcroft, especially considering he's only a first year player, but he is a prolific first year player. Best way to put it, good on Brisbane for a big win at the Gabba. Like we said, pushing ever closer to Port Adelaide. Will be interesting to see how they go against in the next couple of weeks, because if they can push themselves above Port, like I said, getting a couple of wins at the Gabba, then going into the MCG will help quite a lot. Let's move on to Saturday night football. I'm going to let you, unfortunately, take this away. I don't know if you bothered to even watch it.
Oh, I watched like a quarter or so. I've got some stats that's just going to show how atrociously shit we have been. I sent it to the group. I don't know if anybody watched it or read it. I mean, but it goes over quarters one this year as of round 18, and we are the worst team in the competition when it comes to first quarters. Like West Coast even has more first quarter wins than we do this year.
That's despicable.
Only 2 first quarter wins in the entire year. Which you can't be giving up quarters and expecting to win games. Like, sure, we see the fight back and we claw and we get these honorable losses, but it's just bullshit. The talent on this Fremantle team is probably the best we've ever had. Yet we're playing worse than the 2016 team. It just boggles the mind. I don't get it.
There needs to be more, like somehow there needs to be more gotten out of this Fremantle side. But I think we'll go into the game a bit more. So 12-4-76 plays 16-9, 105. Swans by 29 points. This was just a absolute, like you said. I think you put it best. Was a Freo making it look more like an honourable loss than it actually was, because realistically, the Swans just ran roughshod all day, and you only really started to peg it back throughout the second, third, and fourth. You only really pegged it back little by little. You didn't do major amounts, but as you sort of said, they're setting, but all teams are setting up their games in the first quarter against you guys. It's just a real problem when it comes to Freo's game at the moment. There's a lot that they need to change in that sense. So your off season is going to look very interesting, and a lot that you need to address. We sort of went into a few of those things last week. This is also about the Swans, because the Swans have kept their season alive still. I talked about that little mini vortex that's formed as well, just inside and outside the 8 with Carlton, Richmond, and Geelong. But the other team to talk about in that mini vortex is the Swans. because the Swans are just clinging on to hope that they can get themselves in the final. They're only out by a game and percentage. So, and they realistically, after that massive win against West Coast a few weeks ago, have boosted their percentage up to a very, very nice amount, but still a lot that would have to go right for them to get into September. But quick couple of players to mention in this game. Lance Franklin returns back to his home state, probably says goodbye. Still yet to say whether he's going to play on or not, but he's definitely probably saying goodbye to the WA fans for the last time. Big game from a couple of Swans midfielders, James Rowbottom and Luke Parker, as usual. Parker with 31 disposals and 8 clearances. He's always prolific. But at least on your side, we can keep mentioning this boy, Caleb Sarong, another big performance. He's just, as I said to you a few weeks ago, he's becoming the heart and soul of the team. Like we talk about Brayshaw a lot, but people need to be starting talking about Sarong more because
it's not Brayshaw, it's Sarong.
To me, he is the absolute heart and soul. Plus, Lockie Schultz as well. 4 goals. He's proven to be a very, very handy small forward that you guys have discovered. So, I shouldn't say discovered. He's been there for, I was going to say, and there's been a lot of you've needed that since realistically, probably Hayden Ballantyne's probably your last real prolific small forward. So, definitely starting to find that form this year as well, but he just needs to maintain it in the hardest position on the ground. But we'll move on from this game and get into the game of the year, some are calling. Don't know how you feel about it, but it was definitely, realistically one of the best games I've seen in a very long time. But we'll get into it. 12-11-83, played 13-7-85. I believe there was 6 changes, lead changes in the last quarter. I could be wrong on that, but it was a phenomenal game of football, back and forth. This game was something else. Performances of a lifetime, I think, by some of the Port players and some of the Collingwood players. Willem Drew, Connor Rozee, Dan Houston, Zach Butters. The Port midfield did all they could last night to try and trounce Collingwood. Just couldn't do it. But Taylor Adams, the milestone man, Darcy Cameron, Steele Sidebottom, Crisp, Dacos, some of the usual suspects for Collingwood. They just keep finding a way to do it. And I think the man we need to talk about most is the man with ice in his veins, Jamie fucking Elliott.
He's done it again.
He can't keep getting away with it. God damn it, Jamie.
Like, it was just amazing. Was it 3 minutes left? I couldn't believe it. I was like, you've done it again, you son of a bitch. You've done it again.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's all I could say. Like, there was a point where I thought Port was pulling away. But no, you can never truly put this Collingwood team away by the looks of things.
I think it was said best that you've got to, if you want to beat Collingwood, you've got to, like, if you're going into the last quarter, you just got to snap their necks, like, straight away. You got to kick the first 2 or 3 of that last quarter to really put their heads down. And Nate has said many a time, it's possible. If you can get them to drop their heads, it is possible to get them. There is a possibility to put them away, but yeah, you really have to push it hard to make this Collingwood side drop their heads, because they just fight it out, and they always seem to find a way to just win. And it's admirable. It's one of the best things about this Collingwood side at the moment. I think there was a lot of heroics laid on. Taylor Adams was probably the big one for me. They're a scary side. They're going to be a scary side in September. they're pretty much sewn up their finals chance, like I said early on, 2 games clear of any team now. It's going to be very hard for anyone at all to get on top of them. And Kane Corns has pretty much called it for them. It's going to take a mighty effort for them to lose this flag. But I think a few Collingwood fans would probably be a little bit freaked out at statements like that, because you never want to, well, the best way to put it is premierships aren't won in July. They'll want to get all the way to the grand final before they can realistically be like, yep, all right, now's our time to shine. But they're doing everything right to get themselves into that grand final slot, even in July, as weird as it is to say. Do you think there is anything do you think there was anything Port could have done differently to win this game? If you watch the final couple of minutes, they like I said, they really did push. Players like Sam Powell-Pepper, I've said it many times. He's having some hell of a year. He was trying to will his side over the line, but just couldn't do it. I do have one thing, but I just want to see is there anything you would do different?
No, it was just pretty much accuracy. It was the only thing letting them down.
I can tell you now, I think if I was a Port fan, it would be, please sub off Kane Farrell. Because I don't know if you saw, instead of Scott Lysette, because I don't know if you saw it, but Kane Farrell's last quarter was an absolute dog of a last quarter. He realistically dropped a mark inside 50 late in the game, and he also was the man that hit the ball out of bounds instead of rushing it through the behinds. That led to the Jamie Elliott kick on goal. So, yeah, I think if there's one thing that Port fans would like to do differently, potentially would be subbing off Kane Farrell, because, yeah, he was a bit of the whipping boy over the last 24 hours, because, yeah, he did have one of those last quarters you'd want to forget, and he's probably sitting there today thinking, oh, if there's so many things I wish I could have done differently. Port now look under threat when it comes to their finals, their home finals advantage. Like I said, there's every chance that Brisbane can take it over. Nate's pointed this out as well. There's every chance they could potentially lose this spot. So not sure how Port fans are feeling at the moment. I think the Carlton game was a game they didn't expect to lose. So it's made their qualifying final chances basically their home final chances very, very interesting at the moment. Yeah, the best way to put it, they just really really are hard to beat at Adelaide Oval. So it's going to be one of those things that once you get into, if they can get themselves into that qualifying final at Adelaide Oval, going to be scarier than having to go and play Brisbane at the Gabatoir. Like I said, a couple of big performances, but one of the big things I wanted to mention was, I think I'm going to call it in a few years, Jason Horne-Francis is going to be the best pickup in the game. That man, his hands are made of glue. Because it didn't matter if it was wet weather football or dry weather football, because this game had it all when it came to the weather. He was able to pick that ball up with one hand cleanly. So he just impresses me every week when it comes to that sort of stuff. But yeah, it remains to be seen whether those Port changes could have been some of the big factors that played into Saturday night's loss. But again, it's a Collingwood side in a close game. They got on the roll early in the fourth and just were nearly impossible to stop.
I got a question for you before we go on to the next one.
Yep.
What do you reckon? Did the tag work? Yes or no on Dacos?
I think in terms of, we're talking about the Willem Drew tag, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Willem Drew getting to the ball and then utilizing that as a chance to then, hurt Collingwood basically by being led to the ball by Dacos, definitely think that helped. Yeah, still managed to get himself 25 disposals as well. Okay. Nearly 10 more than Willem Drew. So, it was realistically, he realistically still managed to be damaging no matter what. And he was damaging late. And that's the key to stopping Dacos. If you're going to go with him, you got to go with him all day. You can't just let him get off the leash at various points and then he sort of gets away with it. So, yeah, definitely game of the round for me, for mine. Like you said, I think easily game of the round, potentially game of the year. Yeah, for mine, it was game of the year. There was so much in this game, back and forth, especially in that last quarter. And like we said, Collingwood win once again in a close one.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to power through these Sunday games because we got some nothing games, but then we've also got some. Realistically, they mean a lot in terms of the finals chances for some of these teams. So we'll get into the first one. GWS played the Gold Coast Suns at Manuka Oval in Canberra. The Giants' kryptonite of an oval, which they managed to turn around today. 15-13, 103 played 9-9-63. Giants by 40 points. They were prolific today. Realistically, the Suns just didn't have any answers for most of the moves the Giants made on them. I reckon they made the move of Toby, basically trying to shut down Toby Green way too late. They waited till he got on a roll and then let him, let him kick 3 goals. And here's an interesting stat for you that I learnt today. When Toby Green kicks 3 or more goals, the Giants rarely lose, especially this season. So yeah, very prolific once again, Toby Green. 3 goals for today, so a little bit inaccurate, but yeah, made the Gold Coast for backline work very, very hard. Big performances from Himmelberg, Whitfield, Kelly. Basically, the senior players I've been talking about standing up once again and getting themselves into the position of getting this team into the position of finals. They've now snuck themselves into the 8. They're sitting 7th at the moment. I was really banking on the Suns pushing a little bit harder. Their midfield was decimated once again today. It seems like, once again, Stewie Doo's just become the scapegoat for something that realistically there's a lot that this team needs to get right. It wasn't just the coach. I think they needed a few more players to come in as well. I still think they've got a lot of good young talent, but again, we always go by Suns and Giants. I think because of they're the 2 expansion teams that came in together, and you just look at, even though the Giants being as people have said, the Ferrari of the AFL back in the day.
The baby.
As we've said, though, they've earned a lot of respect this year in terms of their victories. They've had to go back to the drawing board a lot this year, and you got to give them a lot of credit. They've really turned this around with the players they've had, and I think I said it early on. They were every chance to get into, like a sneaky chance to get into finals, and they're still now every sneaky chance. I think with their run home, they can still do this. So today, breaking that losing streak at Canberra just absolutely boosts the top 8 chance, and now anything's possible for them.
Yeah, once again, Giants are on the up, but is what it is. They're good. They're doing good. They've been on a hot form, as much as I hate to say it, over the last month. Bloody Orange team. They're looking good, and they're going to be playing finals for some time in the next coming years. If Gold Coast are offloading players, we're looking at them. We love an offload of a Gold Coast player. Jeremy Sharp, come to Papa.
Come to Papa.
I feel Stewie Doo was done badly. They do not have the list. They have done stupid shit that I doubt he agreed with. I doubt he was on board for giving away pick 2 for Brayshaw. Like as good as that has been for them, they definitely could have used that on something better. It's just so many decisions to trade out picks and become just the absolute whipping boy of the club in terms of people stealing your talent. Is wild. GWS is pretty much the the child that's been in the original marriage and blah 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 blah. And Gold Coast is the Ranger stepchild of the
I mean, they literally made them red.
yeah. In terms of the way that the AFL has treated them, definitely. But it is what it
For
is.
sure.
But I definitely want to see Gold Coast successful more than GWS. But we're not going to say that anytime soon.
Just going to quickly say, Giants were 6 in a row, leading into the finals.
6 in a row. All
6 in a
right.
row for the Giants. So,
Yeah.
as I said, I think that they're absolutely killing it at the moment. They're every chance heading into finals. Adam Kingsley has this side just firing on all cylinders at the moment. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant to watch that the Giants in my books. But a bit of a brilliant watch today at the MCG, despite the turnout of attendance, which was absolutely woeful as usual. As Nate put it perfectly, is this 2011 or something? But 14-13-97, played 13-15-93. Adelaide almost steal it, realistically. It was probably the best way to put it because they looked down and out in this game at one point, but fought their way back beautifully, kicked 7 goals in the last quarter to realistically just fall short and probably just losing their finals chances now. And Melbourne just keeping their chances of still playing a home final alive, basically by another close win. This is 2 weeks in a row for Melbourne. Last week against the Lions, this week against Adelaide. This one was probably a little bit less expected. This was probably the scare that they didn't think would happen. Max Gawn prolific in this one again, 2 goals, 2. Won the hitouts again as usual. He was prolific all over the field. Brayshaw and Petrarca leading from the front once again. They've basically taken it. Brayshaw specifically has taken his game to another level since Oliver has gone out of the side. So brilliant to watch the game that he's playing. But as soon as Oliver comes back in, we all know what's going to happen in that front. It's going to be like how they've got Grundy sitting in the twos. It's realistically Brayshaw just takes the backseat to Oliver, which I guess you don't really care about as long as you're winning games and potentially winning flags. Big story coming out of this game, though, for mine was the big fight back from Adelaide was basically led from the front by Isaac Rankin. But Isaac Rankin did his hamstring in basically the last 5 minutes of the game. And it looked like a bad hamstring. So it looks like he is done for the year. It doesn't look like. So best way I could probably put it to an example was watching Walshy do his hamstring yesterday. He didn't look too bad. He looked a little bit sore, but, just a little bit of a small hobble. Rankin could barely move. His hamstring he was in a lot of pain, grimacing quite a bit. So unfortunately, he looks to be done for the year. Big captain performance from Jordan Dawson, led his team from the front as usual. He's been a brilliant servant for Adelaide since he's come over.
So where did he come from again? Gold Coast, wasn't it?
Jordan Dawson, Sydney.
Okay. Never noticed him at Sydney.
But as I was sort of saying, Tex Walker, 4 goals, prolific once again, keeps his Coleman medal hopes alive. He was pretty much nullified by Stephen May and then just fought his way back into the game late. It was very, very well done from the old man. As much as I'm not a big fan of him, he can't deny the man. He's playing a very, very good brand of football at the moment. But yeah, there was no firing from some of the other big forwards for Adelaide. Some weeks it works, some weeks it doesn't. And this was just one of those weeks where some of the big talls just didn't provide like Adelaide would have hoped. But and that's probably some of Adelaide's issue as well as just their accuracy issue. But realistically, they're one of the, like I said, one of the better teams that we've seen play this year. I think their game style when it's on, like we saw late in this game, holds up with the Collingwoods of the competition,
Oh yeah.
as we saw by both the Collingwood games they played this year. But Melbourne just roll through once again. Like I said, keep their chances of a home final alive. The top four is pretty much locked. There's no real change that's going to happen there. So, yeah, well done to the Melbourne Football Club. Get themselves there once again.
Yeah, they're just chugging along. Yeah, well, with Melbourne, they're only going to get better as they go along. They're picking up. Yeah, some of these wins should have been easier than they've made them, but the fact that they're still winning, chugging along, and they're going to get players coming back that are massive to the best 22. So once again, I still reckon they can go far in finals, but it looks like Port and Collingwood are a step above everybody else.
But we'll move on to the game at Marvel Stadium, which this is, again, we've made a bit of a pact that North Melbourne ain't going to be talked about much, but realistically, the effort was there today, so they warrant a bit of love today. So 9-15-69 played 9-7-61. St Kilda wins by 8 points. Realistically, only just got themselves over the line, St Kilda. North led this game pretty much midway through the second till 5 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go in this game. Then St Kilda just took control. North tried to wrangle the momentum back, just couldn't do it. And St Kilda get themselves over the line via not a bullshit Jack Higgins goal. To me, a very good Jack Higgins goal. I heard already saw a few people calling it a bit of bullshit and a bit of luck going his way. Didn't see it touched, didn't see anything like that. He was very, very clean in that situation, and he's just a very clutch player as a small forward. He's just so creative in that sense. Some of his creative goals are brilliance. But North's effort today, led once again by their youngster Harry Sheasel. But Davies Uniacke, what a performance. And to be fair, some of their other, the whipping boy, Will Phillips, he had a great game. Todd Goldstein, realistically, just few solid performances across the board. They just ran out of legs, couldn't sustain it for 4 quarters, and just got rolled in the end by a spirited St Kilda team who they were led by their captain, Jack Steele, who just said, nah, we're playing finals this year. And he, basically got them over the line, led from the front. Same with Rowan Marshall in my books. He was very prolific in that last quarter, very crucial goal as well. He's arguably up there as well with Sean Darcy and Tim English as the talk of best ruckman in the comp this year. Will be interesting to see how the All-Australian side comes out, because I don't know who they're going to favour, because I don't know if it'll be any of those boys, surprisingly.
No, it's not going to be any of them, I don't
think. Despite us thinking that, realistically, they're some of the best in the competition at the moment. But, as mentioned, this game was all about players like Higgins, Owens, Caminiti, because they, like we said a few weeks ago, St Kilda have had to throw together this makeshift forward line, and it seems to be working for them. So they fired late in this game, kicked above 8 goals, which they haven't been able to do, and realistically should have kicked way more. They were just inaccurate today. Once this team starts to fire and kick some of these set shots, do think that they'll be a lot better. I did have a bit of a giggle, and I'll put this to you. Apparently there's tension at St Kilda already with Rossi the Bossy and the president. What do you think about stuff like that, or hearing that already?
No, that can't be possible. Ross is a saint. He's a genius tactician. He is a godsend, and he's going to lead St Kilda to a premiership. I dismiss any of this news, and I don't believe it at all.
How dare Simon Lethlean, their president, even think about having a bad thing to say about Ross Lyon?
Oh, it's almost as if he has the same record pretty much as Brett Ratton from last year.
It's, oh my God, it's almost like that. But it's amazing, isn't it? And realistically, they were lucky not to get rolled today. North were, like we said, very spirited, but just couldn't get themselves over the line. It was a shame. I thought they might have this one, just couldn't run it out. And to be fair, you do have to give St Kilda credit. They did want it more. They, like, in that last quarter, they fucking wanted it more. They pushed and pushed and pushed and just got themselves over the line. They were just willing themselves until they won that game. So well done to St Kilda. They realistically now just put themselves back in the 8 for this week. Just tucked in nicely there in 6th position. It's amazing how the difference of just wins and losses at the moment is throwing teams, because they lost today and they were sitting in 10th position. So
that's wild. They're playing like a 10th position team as well.
At the moment, they are.
Yeah, it's when they get to finals, they're going to be cannon fodder. They're just going to absolutely get destroyed. And I don't. Yeah, Mark, come back and point this out
first.
Like that's it. If they even actually bloody get there, he's not getting scrutinized enough because it's Ross the boss. But we won't go into that.
That's a story for another day.
They should have just beaten him easily. Like it's the same old crap with Rossi, where it's just you bring teams down to your level and you make it a scrap when it shouldn't be. He's not the man to take him to the promised land, and it's idiotic. But whatever. I ain't gonna ramble.
Let's get into some segments. It's weird having to control all these things.
I just want to do a little mini arrow. Melbourne's fan base has to be the most pathetic, spoiled fan base in the competition.
Did you not see how many were in the MCC?
There's no, like, you have this team that is just firing on all cylinders. Is what 2-3 years now in top 8 consistently
after years of mediocrity, mind you.
Yeah. After years of doing shit, you win your premiership, and then you just disappear again. Like, you're fucked. Pretty much to say, it's just like, what the hell? Like, where is the support? It shits me, and no, it doesn't get talked about enough.
It's funny. You did technically steal my arrow, so let's go into a bit. Let's dive into it in a little bit further. Let's just make it about fair weather fans instead. Because I hate a fair weather fan, and I think it elaborates a little bit more on you. I think Melbourne are the perfect example of a fair weather fan. So Melbourne's attendance today was absolutely atrocious. 33,000 at the MCG today. Like you said, and this is 33,000 at a near 100,000 stadium. They are a team, and this happens regularly at Melbourne games, and they're not the only team with fair weather fans. Hawthorn fans need to be called out. St Kilda fans can do it at the best of times. North Melbourne have been doing it for years, and I know some of these are lower Victorian clubs, so they'll probably argue, the fair weather, we're not fair weather fans. Lions fans, Swans fans, I will call out
Lions fans. Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, let's call out the the rugby states as well. There's plenty of fair weather fans, and they're the worst, to me, the worst part of the game. I cannot stand a fair weather fan. Best way to look at it is I think bandwagon supporters, clubs that win a flag and then all of a sudden get 100,000 members as well. But I won't ramble too much. Best way to put it, fair weather fans, you've been arrowed.
Bang.
Let's go break some hearts.
Wow, you don't even have a wiki? Get your shit together. He doesn't even have a wiki. All right, here we go. So for my pick, I have picked a West Coast player for my boy. Yeah, I don't have much information. Oh, no. He does not have a wiki. All right, anyway.
Does he have a profile on the West Coast page?
Barely. He's a medium defender. He was drafted in 2021. What pick was he taken at? Pick 31. He was born in 2003, 5th of March. He played for Pil Thunder. Huh. Okay. And was, a part of history this weekend. It's Mr. Brady Hoff, the Hofster. Now, I may be shitting on this young lad, but I do think he has a bright future.
Yes, I think unfortunately he's on the this weekend. I think the reason he deserves this is having the balls to stand Charlie Curnow.
He's been chucked into the deep end a couple of times the last few weeks, going on the key forwards. Don't know if that's going to be good for his confidence. Could be good experience, but let's see how he bounces back from that. He's one of the few bright stars for West Coast, and looking forward to see where he goes. And that is one of the reasons why I have added him to the boys' club.
So Brady Hoff, welcome to the boys' club.
You remember this, pal? You're a boy in a man's world.
Taken pick 38 in the 2003 AFL draft, a father-son pick for Geelong. It's Mark Blake, a special induction, this one, for a few reasons. 2007 was dropped for the grand final after a poor performance in the prelim against Collingwood. He was dropped for Stephen King. Stephen King played in Geelong's VFL Premiership side 2 days after Geelong's prelim final win over Collingwood. So basically Mark Blake was cucked in the ruck. 2008 though, he did play in the grand final, but unfortunately for Geelong, they lost. So Mark Blake, having not won a premiership just yet. 2009 though, his spot in the side is very shaky. Stephen King's gone to St Kilda. Mark Blake still can't cement his spot in the side. But does he play in Geelong's premiership side in 2009? He does. So it's a special wing, special induction, this one, premiership induction, my second one this year. But in 2010, Mark Blake was dropped after the qualifying final against St Kilda, leaving him stranded on 99 games. Was on Geelong's list in 2011 under Chris Scott, didn't play a game, was told to explore his options, but Mark Blake decided against it for this reason, to be inducted into the Stephenson Wherry Hall of Fame.
Cash time!
Ouch!
Blood and guts. What a match.
Shitty finish, though.
Shitty finish, but what a match. And Ibushi making the internet go crazy by self-tack bumping is making me lose my shit laughing. But this is about one man. And in the AWO's eyes, the MVP of the blood and guts match, Takeshita. He was phenomenal coming into this match. Golden Elite versus the BCC.
Bastard pack.
Oh yes, and the fifth. Did you like how they kept calling him the fifth man?
Yeah.
The fifth man. The fifth man. Order of entry. So, like we said, Takeshita coming in 9th, taking on Ibushi, a decent chunk in this match. Something that we've been salivating over. To me, he was the MVP of this match. Not too much of too many standouts from here. But unfortunately, the big thing and big storyline coming out of this was Takeshita bailing, leaving the BCC high and dry. Don Callis identifying that something went wrong and getting him out of Dodge. So Watch this space. Could Takeshita be in the sights? The BCC. We'll have to wait and see. So, unfortunately, a loss for our boy this week, but that is Takeshita watch. Nate writes Takeshita watch so much better than I do.
I mean, like, it's hard to.
But yeah, it is hard to sum up a 40-minute blood and guts match in a couple minutes and try to remember any spots when that match was just insane. And I'm not one to go back and watch matches over again.
I mean, they made him look strong. That's for sure. It
That
was
they did.
a couple times where he was winning 2-on-1 and busting through moves and stuff. So yeah, he looked good.
He did look good.
Interesting to see where the story goes.
But we will leave it there. I won't go too much more into the round that is. Big round as usual coming up next week. We got some massive games. Me and Nate should be attending Friday night. So Collingwood versus Carlton, which I can tell you now, I would not have thought once again that our season potentially lies on beating Collingwood. So crazy to think about. Freo play Geelong down at Goomba Stadium. Giants v Dogs in another 8-point game. Swans versus Essendon in a battle of who gets to basically stay in the finals hunt.
And get smashed.
Port potentially with a chance to knock Adelaide out of finals. Melbourne also with a chance to knock Richmond out of the 8. So a lot of big games next weekend of football that we'll be watching and waiting to see the results of. But we are the AWO Journeymen. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and Tout. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to tell you about after this. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. And please, please drink more water.